This episode of Soul Decodes is pre-recorded, but Sarah and Tia Jolie felt it compelling enough to share with you today. We hope you agree.
The following Earth Angel Media presentation is brought to you commercial-free as a gratuity from the sponsor producer named after the show. Please consider their message. Find other high-value shows listed at earthangelproject.com. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Soul Decodes. Join us as we wander off the path to find the ideas that fascinate. We talk about spirituality, the mind, the ego, wellness, and hidden history with tips, travels, and tales. Charms for a better life.
Well, here we are with Sarah Tirri in the house. Welcome to the treehouse.
Thank
Sarah.
you. Good to be back.
Seems like forever since I saw you.
It has been a minute.
So welcome,
Yes.
everybody. This is Dr. Tia Jolie Phillips, and you're listening to Soul Decodes with Sarah Tirri. We're at the treehouse in Central Florida. It's beautiful out there
It's
today.
lovely, and it's so green here now with all the rain you've been getting.
And when you came to the studio, the front door, I was like, Barbie showed up. Like you're like, you
that's
look
very
so
flattering.
amazing. It's like I didn't think Barbie was a real live person, but you're
Wow, well, thank
you look
you.
amazing. You look happy. You look
Yeah, I
very
feel it.
well rested, like
Yeah.
you're recharged.
Well, I've actually haven't been. I've been on a creative binge, but that's probably why I do look well rested, because when I'm in that zone, I'm in a creative realm, and then I have to meditate a lot because it's very dynamic.
balance
So
it out.
yeah, so.
I don't know how you can be more creative than you are. I'm in a creative mode. It's like, what?
Well, it's inspiration. The creative mode is the inspiration. So when I write, I don't know what I'm going to write. So I sit down, and that can go a few ways. But when you get drawn in and you're writing, and that's coming out of your subconscious because it hasn't come into your left brain, you don't stop. I don't stop that process. Why the fuck would I stop that? I mean, you're on a high, literally, and not been getting much sleep, but. When I don't know, with this type of energy, with this type of energy coursing,
You look like a
it's
child, like
Good.
not in a bad way. I mean, it's like that's a good thing. Right? You're in a creative zone. What are we going to cover today? What do you want to? This is your show.
Well, you've got a spring in your step.
I do. I'm in a great spot.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
by the time this episode airs, my other episodes will be also published. But I had my first episode on 9/11.
I know, that was significant.
Yeah, it was a major step because.
How did you wake up that morning? Did you sleep that night?
I did.
Yeah.
A lot. By the time that you put an episode together, especially one with as many moving parts as that one had, a lot of people, they listen to somebody interview a guest, and it's like, oh, well, that's nice, and they have no idea what went into
the production.
the production of it. So from my world, I was just like, wow.
So what did your first show cover?
The first show was the 23rd anniversary of 9/11. And there's really, when you look at 9/11 and the events that transpired, there's really two categories of people who know the truth behind 9/11. The first category are the criminals that perpetrated those events upon us. There's a group of criminals that did that to us.
In order to enslave us, ultimately.
Well,
what was their agenda?
Let's cover that in a moment.
Yeah.
But the second group, so the first group is the actual people who actually did the crimes. And it was, you say, conspiracy.
So not the pilots, because they obviously died, but the people that recruited the pilots to fly the planes into the building.
Yeah, so these are good questions. And those questions, we actually answer some of them on the podcast. But beyond those questions, there's the group who actually perpetrated the criminal activities. They conspired to do these dastardly things. And then there's the other people who know the truth are the ones that have spent even 5 minutes seeking the truth behind the events. Most people, they accept the narrative.
I did.
Exactly as it is. Like, I
thought a load of terrorists doing shitty shit.
Oh, well, wait a minute.
A load of fucking arseholes.
Everybody feels that way.
Yeah, but is that not the truth? So was that a real event?
I think you're doing the right thing. So my podcast, which is called Studio 17, the tagline for it is question everything, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, quite.
Question everything. So I love that you're asking questions. The whole purpose for me putting that out there is to get people to ask questions because, like I said...
And what do we do with the answers?
I don't think we ever fully know all the answers. No. But
what's the point in knowing the answer? How does that make our lives better?
Well, I think, first of all, I think we're better people by asking the questions.
Interesting.
The quality of our lives right now, or the quality of our lives in our future, is going to be directly related to the quality of our questions that we ask. So you do that when you get into your creative mode. You're asking questions and you're getting answers.
That's in my prayer life.
That's the central to being a creator.
Well,
is
to
asking
your
questions.
spiritual well-being. Yeah.
So,
and you do get answers. You'll get answers.
Oh, I guarantee you'll get answers.
The Bible said that ask and thou shalt receive. And if you look at that from the premise that we're looking at it, you will ask the question. It doesn't matter how the answer comes. It will find its way of getting to you.
So what I'm trying to accomplish is I'm trying to get people to ask questions, ask better questions. Then to your point, what do I do with those?
Yeah.
What do I do with those answers? What if I get answers I don't expect? What if I get answers I don't want? What if I hate the answers?
What if they terrify me?
What if we find out that...
What if I'm so shit scared after asking these questions?
But what if...
No, but people don't ask questions because they're worried, like you say, they're worried about the manifestation of the outcome as it has on their psyche.
Well, so what if the story of these cavemen that spent a year learning how to fly a Cessna, and then they woke up...
Well, they didn't have to fly it. They just had to fly it straight and level and head out on a heading, just put a coordinate in. They didn't have to take off, land, or do anything. I could teach freaking anyone to do that in 10 minutes.
Okay.
So it wasn't a massive load of flying skills.
Right.
Just roll out on a heading.
Except for one thing. There's except for about 10,000 things that nobody asked. But first of all... Flying straight and level.
So anyway, you've got these bastards. It's not that difficult to learn how to do that. To me, it was the takeoff and landing that was difficult, not the straight and level flying. But anyway, let's not get
that's fair, but flying
that.
a Cessna, which I know you have flying experience, but I'm here to tell you, flying a Cessna at what's cruise? Depends on the Cessna, but
4,000 feet maybe.
4,000 feet at 90 knots?
Yeah.
What's red line?
I don't know.
115?
Can't remember. Something like that.
Even know.
I remember years ago there was this pilot and he didn't like me very much. And I was coming over here to do my private pilot's license, right? And I had my friend Sarah and the instructor Barbara. And we were coming back from the Middle East and we were at maybe 39,000 feet. And he said, sit down in the seat. And he took the autopilot off because he said, you can hold this straight and level. And I couldn't do it. I hadn't even had any experience. And the whole fucking plane dipped. The first officer got really pissed off and said, don't do that, sir. And he was just fucking with me.
Of course.
Unbelievable. And I'm thinking these poor passengers in the back.
But listen,
anyway, the straight and level wasn't that easy.
Yeah, our atmosphere
was
is density. Half of the Earth's atmosphere, and it's not even atmosphere, it's just density of this fluid we call it air, but we treat it like a fluid. There's like fluid dynamics apply in air the same as it does to the ocean water. It's fluid dynamics. Most of the air molecules above us are below 18,000 feet. So by the time you get to 39,000 feet, the air is very, very thin.
Yeah.
Very thin. Yeah. So to get the same amount of air going across your wing to keep an airspeed, you're actually going pretty darn fast across the ground to get the same amount of wind over your wing.
Right.
So let's go back to these little caveman pilots.
Caveman pilots.
Caveman pilots. So,
and does this have anything to do with the religion of Islam?
So...
So
let's dive deeper. Let's not even talk about...
Well, we have to sort of spin that out the window, don't we?
You ask these questions, and they're good questions, but let's keep diving deeper.
Okay.
Who has the most to gain from the events of 9/11? They're not the caveman pilots. That's not the religion of Islam. Those are not the people. Those people were the patsies. They were the patsies.
So who has the most to gain is the whoever is controlling us by making us very fearful and compliant. So we now trade our freedoms for feeling secure.
Okay,
and we
so
don't
I didn't
ask
even
any
have
questions.
to. So now you don't even have to watch my podcast. Like you nailed it.
So
when you look at the circumstances.
So what motivates people to want to have that amount of control? A friend of mine, I asked him this is my co-host on my radio station, Frank. He said it's an aphrodisiac, that having control, the more control, is what's going to do something to your life, which is going to magnify your ego, right? So you've got these people living in ego mind consciousness, no soul consciousness. That's not even creeping through. And they want to enslave us, keep us back in order so they've got a game to play with their lives. So, because I never know what their agenda is. Why would a whole bunch of people want to control us? What are they going to get out of it?
Right.
They've got yachts. They can get helicopters. They can go anywhere they want. They can eat anything they want. They can listen to it. I mean, they've got this hedonistic life. Maybe that's not enough.
Well, and maybe it's not. So, just like everything in this earth space, I don't know the answer because I'm not them. But I can't even fathom.
An elitist, but someone wants control. Yeah, I know, right? It's a mental illness, isn't it?
Let's roll with that question. What do you have to gain? If you own the world, basically, if you're like in the top 3,000, you're part of the 13 families, 3,000 members, and you control and own everything in the world, that's you. What do you do? How do you keep your head together? All of us need this sense of worth, this sense of accomplishment.
You wouldn't be able to keep your head together.
You wouldn't.
You wouldn't. So, because you're knowing that children are starving on this planet. You're living in that reality, knowing a lot of your money could feed a lot of starving children. Well, I'm really hot on that.
They don't care.
They don't care. But them not caring, there's no soul in that. Your soul would. If I had a bunch of money, I'd keep some for myself, but I would be freaking a fairy godmother with it because that's what's going to bring meaning to my fucking life.
Me too.
They strip themselves of that. So, like you say, they're crazy characters in a video game.
So the only thing left, if you take away, like you laid down the baseline, the only thing left is winning. They get this dopamine hit from the thrill of winning.
Winning again. So, who's their opponent?
Oh, this is the thing. When you do the deep dive into the bankers' wars, when you go through history, all the way back to the Silk Road, you're going to see that no sooner back in the day, carrying your gold and silver was very difficult to do, like a couple thousand years ago. Right. So the Roman Empire, you don't want to carry your gold.
It's just not feasible, is it?
It's not feasible.
No,
so
you've got babies and supplies.
Yeah, so they started doing this thing where you, instead of carrying your gold and silver, which is really logistically difficult to do, right? It's freaking, I can give you a
bag of potatoes is heavy enough, isn't it?
Well, no, I've got gold and silver in my possession that you can barely lift it.
Do weights with it.
It's so heavy.
So basically, how big is a 5-pound bag of silver? Because I'm just doing a 5-pound bag of potatoes because that's what my comparison is. How big is that?
When we're done with this, I'll have you.
I'd like to see the visual on that.
I'll let you carry 5 pounds.
I need a selfie with that.
You can't even pick up. I bet if I put it on the ground right in front of you.
Well, I can pick up a 5-pound bag of potatoes.
Yeah, we're not talking 5 pounds. I have a box like this much of silver.
How much
silver
does it
and
weigh?
gold. You can't. You would have a hard time. It's probably 50 or 60 pounds.
Yeah,
what I've got. Yeah, you would have a hard time lifting it up.
That would.
It's very heavy. So the idea of transporting. So what they did was they staggered along the trade routes. All along the trade routes, what we would now know as banks. Instead of carrying the gold, they could deposit gold, and then they get these certificates.
Yes.
These certificates that are
voucher.
They're like a voucher. Yeah. It's like, hey, Sarah, I'm buying this 15,000 acres of soybeans or rice or whatever you're selling. I'm not going to give you 15,000 acres of gold to pay for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you this certificate.
Yes. So it's a representation.
It's a representation of this gold.
So that was a very useful.
True. And it served its purpose for a short period.
Yes, yeah.
But then what they found is it's like, well, wait a minute. We don't actually have to have the gold. The gold is here, but we can actually start producing these certificates.
And not have anything to back it up.
And yes, we have gold, but as long as nobody's asking for the gold. Yeah,
I'll just print. Look what happened after COVID.
Well,
they started printing trillions of dollars. It just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, we can play that forward. Basically what happened was these banksters. I don't call them bankers.
I love that.
They're
Gangsters.
banksters.
Oh, that's so funny.
Because all of the wars, what they learned is that there's a lot of money in money.
Yeah.
And they could loan out with interest money on the certificates.
Yeah.
So they learned that, hey, these certificates become very valuable. And so now we've got the genesis of modern banking. They say, well, wait a minute. For every piece of gold I've got, I can generate thousands of certificates.
Do what you want.
You can do whatever you
just
want.
lie, yeah.
Because the person that produces the money, whoever prints the money.
It's just a fucking Ponzi
so
scheme.
now I can take what amounts to monopoly money.
Yes.
And I can give it to you and you're on your happy way. So I got your valuable commodity. I've got your 15,000 acres of rice or wheat.
Yeah. All the interest.
So I took all of the value and I gave you monopoly money.
Yeah.
But the modern day Federal Reserve, which is not federal, it's private.
Yeah. And there's nothing in the reserve.
There's nothing in reserve.
Yeah.
It's a private bank.
So what does the common man do with that knowledge?
You do everything you can do to fight back against the system. And so part of my podcast is, first of all, to ask the questions to bring awareness. Once you have the awareness, what do?
Yeah.
You ask the next question, what can I do about it? Because these are questions you must answer for yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say, look, I got myself, my kid, my family, my dog, my cat.
My own bubble.
And I can watch my basketball on Tuesday night or whatever.
And I've got clean sheets at night and a pizza in the oven.
I've got a place to poop and I'm good.
Yeah.
And that's all they care about.
Yeah.
Those questions don't matter to those people. It takes a fraction of 1% of us to make a change. So 99.9%, they're not going to do anything ever. They're happy with they're more interested in what the Kardashians are wearing. They're not going to do anything.
They're hooked up to their phones.
They've got their little kitten. They're watching their kittens on their iPhone. They're happy as can be. But it takes 0.1%, just a fraction of us, to stand up and say, yeah, this is not okay. Because this is okay now, but if things keep going as they're going to go, if you think you're a slave now, just wait for 2 more generations. Yeah. And some of us have been fighting this since 9/11. So all this is to say that all wars are bankers' wars. The bankers figured out along the way that they could fund both sides of the war. And this goes back to World War I and before. They could fund both sides of the war and guarantee a win.
The win being?
And the win means control, because guess who? What happens when you win?
It's like we're in a video game.
No, what happens when you win a war? There's a winner and a loser. The loser, they have to surrender all their stuff, right? The winner, they get to do whatever they want and rewrite the history. History is basically a whole bunch of stories told by victorious people.
Yes.
Now, the wars don't always have to be what we call kinetic. Like, I don't need to shoot you and kill you to have a war. So what happened back in the really 30s, 40s, 50s is we started to fight a different type of war, and that war is winning the hearts and minds of the people. We're in a situation
winning
now.
the hearts and minds in order to help bring in what?
Winning doesn't have to be what you think it is.
It wasn't a good choice of words.
Yeah, no, I use the words, but basically their winning means controlling the hearts and minds of the people. Now, we're in a place now where everybody's fearful. During the scamdemic, COVID lockdowns, if you walked outside without a mask on, there would be somebody ready to literally shoot you because they're living in this realm of...
So it become like it is in China, but even worse than
fear.
that. You won't have any... This is a science fiction absolute nightmare. You can only go to this store to get your groceries. You can't go out after midnight. Your children can only go to this school. I mean, you have no freedom.
And Klaus Schwab, he's probably history now because of the military operations. He's in charge of the World Economic Forum, which is an unelected, non-government organization. They're unelected, a bunch of bureaucrats that are self-appointed rulers of the world. They basically wanted to have 15-minute cities where you're not going to go outside of 15 minutes of where you...
The city will run itself on the people that live there because they will be the workers there. You'll have the workers living in homes in this city. They won't need to go anywhere. Their school will be there, their church will be there, their stores will be there.
And you will be told what to think, how to think, when to think, when to sleep, when to poop, when to have sex. I mean,
just unbelievable.
How many times you can have sex? They will do everything to control your life. Well, that's not going to happen.
Do you think that would happen? You don't think the common man would resist that and say, fuck that?
Oh, no, if they knew about it. The problem is the people who want to control the matrix, the grid structure, they know that any logical thinking person, anybody who knew what was really going on would absolutely revolt. They knew that. So they needed to control the narratives. They needed to control the media. So right now, as we stand here, the media is falling. the corporate media.
Yeah, good.
ABC, NBC, CBS.
But then you've got
Fox
a load
News.
of people getting all sorts
Yeah.
of information from every single source there is, and that can be overwhelming.
But no, it could be overwhelming.
And empowering. But that's a lot.
Liberating. It's
My daughter, she came to me a few years ago, and it was quite late at night. We were sitting out having a bonfire, and she was kind of scared because she said, "I don't know what to believe, Mum." And she started saying, I've read this, I've read this, I've read this, I've read this," and she was just in a, and she had there's nothing anchoring her at all to reality, and it was horrible watching her, and that's what can happen with a whole bunch of information. Then people, my friend Frank. He said to me, he's my co-host on the radio station, something along this, and he's into conspiracy theories and has this theory put together, that the whole population of planet Earth is going to be reproduced. Right, so he started going into those realms, and I'm just looking at what this biblically could mean. This could be the end times, which you've said that we are in the end times, and we're not stepping into it. It's already going on.
I think we're past it.
Past it.
I think we're
and then
past
what
it,
you're
yeah.
going to get after that is some type of golden age, which is what you're shooting for, right? That would be heaven on earth. And to get into that golden age, we've got to know, well, the structure of reality as it pertains to our mind, plus who's in charge and who's manipulating us. And then we just have to say no, and we have to rise up, right? So that rising up is, what does that look like?
Well, what you just shared is exactly correct. Because the whole idea of a democratic republic is the government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed. Well, the governed then must educate themselves. They must be aware. So if you can dumb down the education, if you can dumb them down and keep them
You can get
ignorant,
away with anything.
If you can keep them ignorant,
Yeah.
and let them know that we have the answers, we're the experts, we have all of the knowledge and the information. We have the university professor saying this, and we have the scientists saying this, and most of it is just flat out garbage,
Bullshit.
lies, bullcrap. It's all corporations paying each other to cover each other's back.
And so what does the average person do when they find this out? They'll listen to a few of your podcasts and they'll do some research themselves. David Icke is an interesting character. He's along the lines of what you think about, and I've read others. What does the everyday person, you've got 2.2 children, they're going to school, you're working 40 hours a week. What does that look like in terms of realising what the truth is? And then I want to go on to talk about, so you mentioned the matrix as in the government matrix, but we're actually living in a matrix in terms of what our mind is doing. So what does it, because I advocated in the end of the mirror world, stop looking at what's going on in the world. It's fearful. And you're not going to arrive at any satisfactory conclusion unless you've done a massive load of homework and you haven't got a contradictory idea coming from elsewhere. Because I hear you, I hear Tony, I hear and it's like I don't even know where to anchor myself, but I'm okay with that because I can just anchor myself because I am aware that I'm creating my own reality. That would be part of this heaven on earth, helping people understand. Don't worry about what's going on out there. You're creating your reality in your little bubble, something you can do with your mind, which would be able to relax your mind, hold a vision together, will get rid of that because you won't be experiencing that low-level part of the matrix. You'll be going into the sectors which are higher, at a high vibration, and that will be mirrored back to you. So I think fixing the mind is a big thing, not fixing what the fuck's going on out there.
I'm so glad we recorded everything you just said because there's so much wisdom there. I'm actually in the process of trying to track down one of the founders of the Heart Math Institute. Everything's connected, everything's pulled together. Our goal is to create cohesive resonance within ourselves.
Yes. And that's hard to do
and your question,
if you keep looking at reality. I mean, I've got people, and you know of these people, a couple of these people, that they're just doing a massive amount of research and it's all biased to the end of the world's coming round. This is fucked up, this is going on. What does that do to your own vibration? Now, it's good to know that if you can control it. If you suddenly had Elon Musk's money, you could do a lot with that. But if you don't,
Elon
Musk.
Yeah.
But if you don't go freaking crazy about that. Don't allow all this to lower your vibration. So get a hold of your thinking. So I would advocate that people pull back, know the truth, and that's good. And I love the way that you're encouraging people to ask questions. Is really important.
It's central to our future. To answer your question, though, because you asked me a very important question. The answer. So what do you do with these questions, and what do you do with these answers, and how do you discern how do I act? What do I do next?
Yeah.
It's based on principles. you have to go back to your principles. Because this podcast, I did my episode 1 with an author named Mike King. Like, you'll meet him. You'll see the episode, but realnewsinhistory.com. I shared with him, and he nodded his head in agreement that there's truth and there's beliefs.
Yes.
Truth and beliefs cannot coexist. Because if you have a belief, that is nothing more than a working model.
Yeah.
It's a working model.
It's a structure.
It's a structure. It's a hypothesis.
Scaffolding of what, yes, you've put it together.
Based on what I've seen so far, this is my belief. Ultimately,
Perspective.
It's your perspective.
Yeah.
But ultimately, there's a truth.
Yes.
So like what you believe and what I believe can be similar, or they can be very different. But there's only one truth. So the question always becomes, I think that we individually and we as a collective, if we just make an agreement, like, let's agree that none of us have all the answers. Let's agree that our goal, collectively and individually, is to pursue truth. Now, your truth and my truth cannot be different. Our beliefs can be different.
Well, the truth is that we both want to create heaven on earth and
Truly.
witness that, help bring that around.
Right.
That's the truth, and that is a loving God. I believe that human beings are creating this reality with their minds, and the horror show that's going on planet Earth is because a lot of people are living in a low vibration. If they got themselves out of that vibration, all this would just peter away. So the truth I would advocate is that human beings, you're in a matrix, it looks like a shit show, but we have a lot of people who don't understand what's going on in their minds. The moment we understand that, then we can just chill out a minute.
That's pure gold. So I had a girl this week come in. She's a brand new client. She had heard about me through a couple other people, and she said, can we talk? So I talked to her. I don't give names or anything, but basically she says she was in a bad spot. Like, her whole world was crumbling down upon her. She felt so dejected and so insignificant. Less than 90 minutes later, she was ready to tear up the world and just get...
It's not amazing.
So what happens in 90 minutes?
Yeah.
What goes on there?
Yeah.
The only thing, well, not the only thing, but the
Central.
the central concept is that I said to her, it's like, based on everything you're sharing with me, here you are 50 years old. She was a little older, but you've been permitting the world to influence you. Like, you've been subject to the world.
But she's also caused the world.
But that's the
Her
point.
vibration has caused all this.
But it's permitted it.
Well, it's caused and permitted it.
Yeah, it's so I told her, I said, and this is something that our listeners today can really take to the bank. Like, this is something you can, don't take it to the bank.
No, we're not banksters.
Don't take it to the bank. But,
Or the grave. Act on it.
yeah, this is something you put into motion
Yeah.
right now. Think about this for yourself. What is it about your life right now that was truly, from the time you arrived in this earth space, truly your purpose, your desire, something that you wanted for yourself? Yeah. Or are you sitting here as a result of everything everybody else wanted you to do?
Wanting from you.
The commercials on TV.
Conditioning.
All the conditioning.
Yeah.
Your kindergarten teacher teaching you something. Are you here as a result of everybody else's desire for you? Or are you here as a result of your sovereign, beautiful, divine self saying, this is what I want for me.
For my life.
And this is what I want for my
purpose.
life.
Yeah.
So I told her, I said, what I want you to do is just pretend that this moment, right here with me, right now, you have to acknowledge that virtually everything you've done in your life is you've done that willingly because you had a choice. So you own it.
Ultimately, they had a choice. It's quite difficult, though, when you're living from a compulsion, isn't it?
Right.
But
I said,
ultimately, they did have free will.
Until this point,
yeah,
your life has been written by other people.
Yeah.
But from this point forward, you get to write your life. From this point forward, you get to write your life. It's not what Tia Jolie wants for you, or Sarah, or mom, or dad, or neighbor, or kid.
What do you want? What's your
what
purpose?
What do you want? What's your purpose?
Yeah.
So this
Why was I born?
And
what am I doing here?
This dovetails exactly into what you're sharing.
Yeah.
I try to make it more pragmatic for my people. She just looked like a child when I was done with her because she had, you can just see the light changing.
Well, something had changed in her own vibration, and that was what she was filling her mind with in those moments that you were coaching her. And you were saying, what she is, which is a child of the Most High God, would be Joel Osteen's way of saying it, right? That would be the Christian way of saying it. But for me, you're divine. You have a divine spark, and you can act on that. But you've got to understand your own divinity, because you've got to stop your ego mind uploading and staying online. You've got to be able to stop that. You've got to be able to meditate, and you've got to get back to presence. And what you had done has taken her back to a presence, just to awareness, and told her that she now has to stop all this bullshit that's made her unhappy, reinvent yourself. And that was electrifying to her own mind.
She lit up.
She would have lit up, because now she's feeling in control and empowered. Now she's got to go home, and she could probably just fall back into a load of mindsets, But in that moment, that's what you helped. And that's really, really important. I hope that my work does that with people. It's very, very important to fill your mind with something positive. And the word is so overused, be positive.
It's almost cliche.
It is, and it's a shame. I'm going to have to come up with a better way of saying it. But being positive is absolutely something you must do, however you can arrive at that.
And she said to me, she says, oh my gosh, I feel lighter. Now, she was talking about as if a burden was off of her, lighter. Yeah. When I looked
the burden that was off her, she was out of ego-mind structures. She was now into awareness. She was now reimagining what life could look like. So she wasn't a slave to ego-mind structures, and that would be the burden that you're talking about. That's a very, very heavy thing to be pulled into that mindset.
So what was interesting is this was a Zoom, so we had not met each other, so we were just looking at each other basically for the first time.
Yeah.
And so from the time I started the call until wrapping up, she literally looked brighter.
Yeah.
So she was saying, oh, I feel lighter. And she was talking about in terms of the burden, but I was actually looking at her, and she was literally radiant.
Yeah. Well, she might have had a better oxygen flow around her body.
I don't know.
I mean, whatever.
She looked like 20 years younger.
But that's interesting. But that would be like that. Your body does react to what your mind's doing. So you might have seen something very tangible. How do you feel after, when you get off that Zoom and you've helped someone, what's your immediate? I mean, I would be pacing round after that in a kind of gratitude, because that's what you're supposed to be doing, right? That's your calling, to help people, just steer them, advise them. You can't force someone, but you in that moment were able to elevate her vibration through your words.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I don't know that I know the answer.
I'd be walking around with a smile on my face.
Well, it might surprise you. To me, I know I would like to think that I walk around with a smile, but I don't, because I've seen so many people backslide, and I realize it's just temporary, that ultimately it's going to come down to their own inner work.
It's temporary, but the more you can get into presence, the more you operate that muscle within your mind. What goes from a temporary moment where you backslide, the more you do it, the more it's an everyday waking state of mind. So it's just practice that gets it away from being temporary. It's a lot of temporary moments back to back is what you're looking for.
Well, I agree, but in terms of my presence and my activity in there, I really just view myself as a catalyst. And whether they do something or don't do something.
So you're removed emotionally from the outcome?
I'm very much removed from it. I'm there. In fact, sometimes, in full disclosure, when I'm done speaking with them, a lot of times I can't even remember what I just told them or talked to them about. I can remember in generalities.
Oh, wow. So you're not focused?
No, I'm just totally...
Where's your mind?
In the moment.
But if you were in the moment, you'd be able to remember.
Well, I remember elements of it, but I can't remember specific details of what we talk about.
Right.
See, and then you say, well, where's my mind? Well, is your mind in your cranium?
Well, your mind, I'm talking about your mind as where's your focus?
Well, my focus is, that's a really good question. I can't always say because it shifts, but what I try to do is serve people at their need, right where they are. Serve them. Now, I do education. I do educate based on their physical self, their emotional self. Much of what I do has to do with stress.
Yeah, it's all to do with stress.
I've got world-class nutrition. I've got the best nutrients in the world.
Yeah.
But even with that, if you can't tackle your stress, if you're not willing to just unpack the stress and get rid of it, you're going to be in what's called sympathetic dominance. Some people, I can't say this person, but a lot of people come and say, oh, the medical doctor says my thyroid is not working. And the first thing I say is, well, how do you deal with stress?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a piece of work.
Yeah.
Well,
just decreed. Yeah.
You owned it. In sympathetic dominance, which is stress dominance. When you're in stress dominance, your thyroid downregulates. Because Stress is supposed to be for getting out of the way of the bear that's going to come and get you and eat you.
It's supposed to be useful.
It's supposed to be useful.
But compartmentalized.
Transient, temporary, get out of danger, and then get back to being peaceful.
Yeah.
But now we live in this chaos.
It's funny because we weren't live at this point, but I walked in and you were just finishing up with a client.
Right.
And I mean, we can edit this out if you don't want to say this.
No, just don't say the name.
No, I don't think you said the name.
Yeah.
But you had said to her, "You're sending yourself crazy. You need to calm down."
Right.
So but you do need to calm down. You need to be able to get rid of your monkey brain thinking. You've got to stop all that. You've got to stop all that uploading and just bring yourself down just to awareness. Then you can choose what you think if you need to think. So me coming here today and preparing something, I did that, but I had to think about that. Now they're useful thoughts. But all our mind does is do this, that, up to the past, to the back. What if, going into fear zone, and then you're completely rattled. That is lowering your vibration because now you're in a fear realm. And the only way to stop that is to stop thinking. You have to literally stop thinking. And then you'll find that it's very easy to do. This is a mental trick of staggeringly huge implications, but it's a very easy thing to do with mind. You stop thinking, and you'll notice there's a space right there. That's what you've got to get back to. That space is where you can choose what you think about, and that's where there's no stress in that space. It's a stress-free zone.
I think that what you just brought out is a very salient point. It's very foundational because I get these people almost all the time. It's like, this says it has folic acid in it. I think I need folate. Okay, then grow your own foods in your own garden because folic acid is shelf stable. If you're going to get anything in a vitamin form, it's going to be folic acid. It's not going to be folate. Grow your own foods. Have all the folate you need.
Yeah, but you're asking someone to do something which is totally, they're not going to do it. And it's almost unreasonable to think that we'd all be in Florida especially.
But I bring it up because these people, they're so trained by the medical world to say, if I've got this going on, I need this. If I've got this, I need this. They don't look at themselves as a whole entity. They don't look at themselves as this beautiful integrated structure where mind, body, soul, spirit can dance in this beautiful harmony together. They're saying, oh my gosh, I might be deficient in folate, but this is folic acid. Oh my gosh. And they drive themselves into these corners. And like this girl this morning, her husband, has been through a lot. She didn't listen to what I said a year ago. Now she's asking for advice this year.
Are you able to be candid with them?
I'm totally candid.
Yeah.
I've told people, it's like,
you're not doing what's required, and I can't help you.
I don't even say required. It's like, look, you're the king, you're the queen, prince, princess, whatever you are. I'm just a kick-ass advisor. I'm going to teach you stuff how your body works.
Yeah, and then it's up to you
and
to
if
listen.
you want to blow me off and flush the content, the information down the toilet, do it.
So I see what you mean by you're a facilitator, aren't you? I see what you mean because you're not attached to the outcome. You're providing this information. Yeah. You're very calm, and you do have a calming energy. So that's probably really helpful to people. And you take command, and that's really helpful. So I think that you're probably doing more than you think, but you are playing the role of a facilitator. Well, you're not attached to the outcome because at the end of the day, you can't be. You'd be an idiot. You'd just be a blathering idiot at the end of the day because you'd have all these feelings and you can't absorb people's.
No, I don't. No, I don't absorb any. But I will do. There's certain things I do, and I've probably done it 5 times in the past 10 years, where I'm just like, okay, I think we're done. And they're like, well, no, we're not done. I'm like, no, we're done. You've not suffered enough yet.
Oh my goodness!
You literally have to go and suffer more and bottom out. You literally have to go through,
or you'll die, and you'll be reborn to go through it all again.
You'll have to, and I tell them you have to go through hell to get to heaven.
Yeah, God,
and you've not been through hell yet. When you get to the point where you're
on Skid Row.
You're about ready to lose your legs because of your diabetic neuropathy. Yeah. You're getting ready to lose your legs. Then what I'm telling you is going to make sense, but you haven't suffered yet.
And what do they say when you say you haven't suffered enough?
Then they turn around and beg me to, no, I'm willing to listen.
Yeah,
it's like,
it's
no,
a hardcore thing to say,
you know what?
But
here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, you're willing to listen? Fine. I'm going to send you some videos because I'm done.
Yeah. I'm exhausted.
I'm going to send you some. I'm not exhausted.
No, but it sounds futile at some point.
It's like,
you keep
I'm
giving
not
this
waste my time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I always tell people I'm going to match your effort.
Yeah.
If you're leaning into me, I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
I'm not here to argue with you.
Yeah,
I'm not going to convince
exactly.
you. So this guy this morning, I mean, not just this guy, I say this probably about once a week nowadays. I'm not the one that's going to die because of your decisions. You're the one that's making these crappy decisions about what you permit to stress you out, what are you putting in your body? Yeah. Going to bed at 3 a.m. instead of getting that beautiful sleep.
Yeah.
Those things are going to kill you. They're not going to kill me.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm going to live forever. What? I'm just trying to help you. I want you to be a child again.
I kind of like it. I mean, it's quite brutal, but it is quite a childlike approach. I mean, I could come to you and I could ask all sorts of advice and you give it, right? And then that's it. That's it after that.
Only if
it's
you
up
ask.
Yes, if I ask.
If you ask.
Yes, and that's what I would, And you would give the best of your knowledge, whatever I ask.
Truly.
But other than that, it's going to be up to me. And I think you're totally right. I mean, it's quite cutthroat, quite hardcore. It's like, go away and suffer a bit more. And then when you have and you're really hitting rock bottom, you can come to me and you can listen to me. Well, it's not like they'd have come to you. They've already been to you, but they've got to implement this.
Well, and it's totally opposite what the medical world will do. Like, I'll spend a person I've never met before, I'll spend half an hour to an hour with them and give them full-on, in-your-face advice, guidance. I'll tell them, question everything I'm saying, because I want you to stop this idea that some medical person
going to cure you when
knows what's best for you. That's the biggest lie in the world.
But they want the medical profession to cure them. You actually have to do this with your own mind. Your own mind will cure you. But people are wanting a pill. They're wanting to be told you want this, whether it's folate or bloody Valium. They want a quick fix.
Right.
And it's not. It's getting your whole system in balance. And that's up to them, isn't it?
You could totally do what I do, because that's what I tell them. It's like, look, I can give you all of the nutrients that these are the medical grade best nutrients in the world you can find. I can give you a list of those. You can knock yourself out. But that's just a small piece of the puzzle. I think
I'd like you to, I'm going to get some mirror worlds printed off. So anyone you need to give them the mirror world.
Just give me the link and they can get
them. Okay, I'll do the ebook.
Because I don't want
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll get you the ebook because it's only 8,000 words. It takes 40 minutes to read, but it's a really important part. And I could even add another page, but it's very, very important that you have control over your thoughts. And when you have control over your mind and your mind is running optimally, you will automatically take care of yourself.
Right. So let's put a bow on this.
Yeah.
And then I don't even know if this is what you wanted to cover today.
No, it just goes wherever it needs to go.
But I will say, let's put a bow on this because we started off talking about all of this noise, all of these narratives that are given to us about
but don't get into the fear of that.
Whether it's 9/11 or whether it's some other conspiracy or whatever. Yeah. And by the way, most of them are no longer theory. If you take 10 minutes on some of this stuff, you're going to find there's no longer a conspiracy theory. These are conspiracy facts. These are out there. You can go in there. Because I've looked at all of it. Some of it's a bunch of crap. Okay, some of it's just garbage. But there's a lot of truth out there. And there's a lot of conspiracies that are really, because the term conspiracy theory, actually it was a counter gambit from the CIA to make fun of people who are truth seekers. So somebody is seeking truth, they wanted to diminish. And if you look at the what's it called, the apostology or the epistemology of the word, is that what it's called?
I think so. Epistemology.
Okay. Epistemology.
Etymology.
Oh, isn't that bugs?
I don't know.
I thought etymology is bugs. I don't know.
Something-ology starts with E.
Somebody smarter than me knows what it is. But
word origin.
When you look at the word origin, thank you. But when you look at that, the concept of conspiracy theorist actually came from a 3-lettered agency. They call themselves the CIA, but we call them the clowns in America because they're a bunch of clowns in America that cause nothing but trouble both outside America and inside America.
So anyone wanting to seek the truth but I was burned at the stake for doing that a few lifetimes ago.
Yeah,
so anyone wanting to seek the truth is considered public enemy number one because you rattle then other people's perceptions.
Well, yeah, look at Emperor Constantine, right? Hey, those Christians are getting too many bad ideas. Let's pull them all together. We'll have this Council of Nicaea.
Yeah. Give them a formal canon.
Well, okay, here's the canon.
It was a good idea.
It was a good idea. But the idea was not the Christians. It was they
wanting control and to
emperor to
manipulate the people.
These people are getting too powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to reel them in
and give them something to focus on.
Once we codify, we have this Nicene Creed.
Yeah.
Whoever doesn't agree with the creed doesn't agree with the Roman emperor,
Yeah.
they're going to be killed.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So this is not something the Christians voluntarily wanted. It was perpetrated fraud upon them.
Yeah.
The super awesome gospels were all taken away.
I've been, I'm writing a couple of books at the moment, but at night time, I don't like to watch TV. I like to listen to podcasts. And I love to... So what was it? It was Elaine Pagels I listened to, and she was talking about the Gnostic Gospels.
Oh,
and
Gnostics,
I'm really,
yeah.
really into looking at the Gospels from a wider perspective other than the 66 books we have in the
That's
Bible.
lovely.
But we should wrap this one up.
that
And it
sounds
has
good.
been wonderful.
So let's make a promise. Like
No, we can't.
the next, I know we can't do it, but you always come so prepared to these things. Then at the end,
Well,
of
that's okay. We can just do it in the next one.
But then we end up like not even.
No, but I
covering-
like that. It doesn't have to be carved in stone. I know what I want to say in this next one, so we'll leave that for then. And congratulations with Studio 17.
You're so sweet. I can't wait to talk to you next
I
time.
can't wait to listen to this episode tonight. What was his
I?
name?
What?
Send me the episode, your
Awesome,
first
yeah.
one.
His
I'll
name was
listen to that.
Mike King.
Yeah. Okay,
and it's,
cool.
call out to Mike King.
Hi, Mike.
It's so difficult being as popular as he is. He's a really prolific author. He's got a lot of really deep dives into some really
Good for him.
things, but basically realnewsandhistory.com. Just call out to him because he took a chance on me. And, when you're launching a brand new podcast and you've got basically 0 followers,
That's
and you're
nice.
as busy as he is, it's just
generous.
such a thoughtful thing for
Thank
you
you,
to do.
Mike. You made the right choice, darling.
Okay, be well.
I'll listen to his podcast.
Okay, we'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Soul Decodes, a feature presentation, airs every Friday on the Earth Angel Media Network. This episode of Soul Decodes is sponsored and produced by Live Pure. Optimize your life by taking your health to the next level. Listen now to learn how Live Pure will make your world better.
Live Pure is an American-based distribution system of online portals that give discounted access to clean, potent, natural, and ethically sourced healthy solutions for fat loss, muscle gain, immaculate skin care, immune system support, whole body cleanse, physiological balance, and performance support for athletes of all ages. Live Pure handpicks the best products and nutrients from world-class companies, always adding to their quickly growing wellness lineup that now includes Korean skincare, medical-grade nutraceuticals listed as pharmaceutical alternatives in the physician's desk reference, and healthy coffee that rivals the world's best, but for only about $1 per cup. Soul Decodes listeners looking for vitality, youth, beauty, and better health can get 25% off retail by visiting livepure.com/Sarah Tirri and signing up for free as a preferred customer. If you are a content creator, influencer, or home-based entrepreneur looking for worldwide cash flows from the emerging gig economy, Live Pure's state-of-the-industry brand partner affiliate program can bring you up to 7 different payment vectors as bonuses. As a content creator aligned with Live Pure and Earth Angel Media, you will enjoy massive co-marketing benefits, including a cutting-edge website that is personally branded to you or to your business. Sign up as a brand partner at livepure.com/Sarah Tirri, or drop us a note at connect@earthangelproject.com to get more information.